The clinking of champagne glasses and the hum of polite conversation filled my sister's expensive penthouse. It was Vanessa's 35th birthday brunch, and everything was perfect, as she always demanded. I sat quietly, nursing my orange juice, hoping to just blend in. That hope shattered when Vanessa's laugh, sharp and loud, cut through the air. "Oh, please," she said, waving a dismissive hand. "At least I've kept the same job longer than 6 months." The table erupted in laughter. My face grew warm. She was talking about me. Again. Our mother offered a weak, apologetic smile. My stomach twisted into a tight knot. I forced a laugh, trying to play along, but the humiliation burned. Vanessa, encouraged by the audience, leaned in. "Seriously, Rachel's career is like a revolving door. Marketing, event planning, admin work. I've lost track." The laughter felt like pinpricks all over my skin. I couldn't breathe. Muttering an excuse about the restroom, I fled the table. As I pushed the bathroom door closed, I heard Vanessa's friend, Pamela, say, "My company is hiring, but it's super competitive." Way out of her league, obviously. I locked the door, tears of shame and anger finally spilling over. I was 32 years old and my own family saw me as a punchline. Staring at my reflection in the ornate mirror, the memories flooded back. It hadn't always been like this. 5 years ago, I was a competent marketing manager with a bright future. Then, my company downsized, and I was laid off. The same week, my fiancé, Michael, decided he couldn't handle my instability and left. The double blow shattered me. My job searches became desperate, leading to a string of short-term, ill-fitting roles. To my family, especially Vanessa, that period of struggle became my entire identity. I was the flighty one, the unreliable sister. Wiping my tears, a new feeling ignited within me, a cold, hard resolve. I left the brunch early without saying goodbye. That night, the silence of my small apartment was a relief. I opened my old laptop, its glow the only light in the room. I created a new, password-protected document. My fingers hovered over the keys before typing a single, determined sentence, *time to rebuild. Quietly. I didn't know how, but I vowed that Vanessa would never make me feel this small again. This wasn't about proving them wrong anymore. It was about proving myself right. I still had talent and drive, I just needed someone to see it. A week later, I was working a temporary gig as a coordinator for a charity gala. It was chaotic, but I thrived on the pressure, smoothly handling a last-minute vendor issue and a misplaced seating chart. As the event wound down, an older gentleman with kind eyes approached. "You handled that beautifully," he said. Most people would have panicked. We chatted briefly about event management. His name was Thomas. As he left, he handed me a simple, elegant business card. "If you ever want to rebuild your career properly," he said, "I know a place that rewards quiet competence." I thanked him, not yet understanding the significance of that moment. A few days later, I emailed Thomas. His response was swift, inviting me to apply for a management trainee program at a company called Horizon Brands. He described it as rigorous, a true test of strategic thinking and resilience. It was a hidden pathway for future leaders, he said. I was intrigued but nervous. Did I have what it took? My doubt was instantly crushed when I opened social media. There was Vanessa, posing in a sleek office, her caption bragging, "Loving the amazing company culture at my Horizon Brands." So blessed. My heart hammered against my ribs. The opportunity was at her company. After 3 intense rounds of interviews, the offer landed in my inbox. The position was in a new strategic initiatives division, separate from Vanessa's marketing department. A part of me wanted to decline, to avoid her toxic shadow. But a stronger part, the one I was rebuilding, said this was my chance. I accepted. On my first day, walking into the sleek lobby, I spotted her immediately. Her eyes widened in shock, then narrowed, curving into a familiar, condescending smirk. She sauntered over. "Oh, wow," she said loudly. HR really is desperate these days. I simply smiled. Good to see you too, Vanessa. I became the ultimate underdog. I arrived early, stayed late, and volunteered for every project no one else wanted. My boss, a sharp, no-nonsense woman named Lydia, started noticing my work. I wasn't just completing tasks, I was finding efficiencies, suggesting small improvements that had big impacts. During a one-on-one, Lydia closed her office door. Corporate changes are coming, Rachel, she said, her voice low. The board is watching our division closely. They're looking for fresh leadership potential. A spark of hope flickered inside me. I was being seen, not as Vanessa's failure of a sister, but as myself. The gossip started subtly. Whispers in the break room, sidelong glances in the hallway. I heard through the office grapevine that Vanessa was telling people I'd been hired out of family pity, that I was on a probationary period, and that I'd inevitably quit. One afternoon, walking past a conference room, I heard her unmistakable laugh. Don't worry about Rachel, she was saying to someone. She'll be gone in a month, just like all her other jobs. It's her pattern. I kept walking, my back straight, but her words felt like a physical blow. She was actively trying to sabotage me. Instead of confronting her, I channeled my frustration into my work. I started a private log, documenting every project, every result, every client compliment. I built a case not with words, but with data. One evening, a strange email appeared in my personal inbox. The sender was anonymous. The message was short and chilling. Don't trust your sister. She's not just gossiping. She's been blocking your promotion requests in the system. My blood ran cold. This was more than petty jealousy, this was professional sabotage. The game had just changed. The following week, Thomas Cole was waiting for me in the lobby. Let's have coffee, he said. In a quiet corner cafe, he smiled. I've been hearing good things. But tell me, what's really going on in that office? The kindness in his voice broke my resolve. I confided in him, the rumors, the sabotage, the constant tension of working near Vanessa. He listened intently, never interrupting. When I finished, he nodded slowly. Keep doing what you're doing. Your work is your voice. And just so you know, he added, a twinkle in his eye, the board is about to make some changes. Big ones. A sudden, company-wide internal audit was announced. An air of nervous tension descended on Horizon Brands. Executives were being reviewed, and the rumor mill went into overdrive. I noticed Vanessa becoming increasingly agitated. She'd spend hours on the phone behind closed doors, her voice strained. Lydia mentioned, offhandedly, that Vanessa's department was under particular scrutiny for some creative accounting to make her team's numbers look better. That afternoon, a calendar invite popped up on my screen. The subject was, *confidential, strategy discussion with executive board. My pulse skyrocketed. I walked into the top-floor executive conference room, my palms sweating. The view of the city was breathtaking. And then I saw him. Sitting at the head of the immense marble table was Thomas Cole. But he wasn't the retired consultant I'd met before. He wore an expensive suit and a small, silver pin on his lapel, the Horizon Brands board member insignia. My breath caught in my throat. He gave me a slight, reassuring nod. Rachel, he said, his voice filling the quiet room. Please, have a seat. Meet the board. They've all read your proposal. I took a steadying breath and began my presentation. I outlined a comprehensive, data-driven plan for a company-wide rebrand, tying it to our core values and market opportunities. I spoke about empowering employees and fostering genuine innovation. The board members listened, some nodding, others taking notes. When I finished, Thomas leaned forward. You'd be surprised, he said, addressing the room, how many of Rachel's ideas align perfectly with our new leadership vision for Horizon. Just then, the conference room door swung open violently. Vanessa stood there, breathless. My apologies, I'm late for her sentence trailed off as her eyes landed on me, standing at the head of the table. Vanessa's face cycled through shock, confusion, and then pure fury. Rachel? What is this? She demanded, ignoring the board entirely. She tried to regain control, attempting to pick apart my presentation with baseless criticisms. These projections seem wildly optimistic, she scoffed. Has she even considered the budget? I didn't flinch. For every one of her emotional attacks, I responded with calm, factual data. I cited specific metrics and case studies. My composure only made her look more unprofessional and petty. The CEO, a stern man named Mr. Wallace, finally held up a hand. Thank you, Vanessa. That's enough. Rachel, thank you. I think we've seen all we need to see. Days later, a confidential email from HR arrived. I was being formally considered for a key role in the upcoming executive restructuring. The news clearly leaked, because Vanessa's behavior became openly hostile and desperate. She started sending me aggressive emails, CCING Lydia, questioning my smallest decisions. One evening, long after everyone had left, she stormed into my small office, slamming the door shut. What do you think you're doing, Rachel? She hissed, her voice trembling with rage. Did you seriously think you could just waltz in here and one-up me? This is my company. I slowly closed my laptop and looked at her. It's everyone's company, Vanessa. Her eyes blazed. If you don't back off, I'll go to HR. I'll tell them you're unstable, that you're obsessed with me. They'll believe me. I didn't say a word. I simply opened my desk drawer and pulled out a thin, beige folder. I placed it on the desk between us. It was filled with printed emails, performance metrics that contradicted her gossip, and timestamps of her system activity blocking my promotions. You should be careful, I said, my voice eerily calm. It would be awful if the board saw how you've really been spending company time. In the end, I never sent the folder to anyone. I didn't need to. Vanessa's own arrogance was her undoing. The internal audit uncovered the financial discrepancies in her department. Furthermore, her public meltdown in the board meeting and her subsequent threats to me had been witnessed by too many people. The rumors about her mismanagement and toxic behavior reached HR through natural channels. A formal investigation was launched. A company-wide email announced that Vanessa Hayes was being placed on temporary administrative leave, pending the outcome. The silence in the office was deafening. I was invited back to the executive conference room. This time, the atmosphere was different, warmer. Thomas introduced me to the CEO search committee. We've been looking for someone who understands this company from the ground up, Mr. Wallace explained. Someone with resilience, fresh ideas, and the respect of their peers. Our trainee program was designed to find a leader like that. Thomas nodded at me. We've watched you navigate incredible professional and personal challenges. You never compromised your integrity. That's the kind of leader Horizon needs now. The official letter was delivered by a somber-faced HR representative. It was heavy, embossed with the company logo. I broke the seal with trembling fingers. The words swam before my eyes before finally settling. Horizon Brands is pleased to appoint you, Rachel Hayes, as acting Chief Executive Officer, effective immediately, with a permanent confirmation vote in 6 months. I had to read it 3 times. My phone buzzed, pulling me from my shock. It was the head of HR, Rachel, she said, her voice formal. Your sister, Vanessa Hayes, is here. She's demanding a meeting with you. I met her in a neutral HR meeting room. The confident, sneering sister I knew was gone. In her place was a pale, trembling woman. Her eyes were red-rimmed. Rachel, she began, her voice cracking. Please. You have to help me. I'll lose everything. Please, just put in a good word. Tell them it was all a misunderstanding. I listened silently, letting her pour out her desperate pleas. When she finally fell silent, I stood up slowly. I smoothed the jacket of the new, professional suit I'd bought for myself. I looked her directly in the eyes. You were right, Vanessa, I said, my voice quiet but clear. I couldn't keep a job. But I finally found one worth keeping. At 10 o'clock the next morning, a company-wide email blast went out from the board of directors. The subject was, *New leadership at Horizon Brands. The office floor fell into a stunned hush, followed by a wave of excited murmurs. Slack channels exploded with messages. People were reading the announcement. Horizon Brands proudly announces the appointment of Rachel Hayes as our new Chief Executive Officer. At that exact moment, Vanessa was in the HR waiting room, signing her suspension paperwork. She checked her phone, her face a mask of horrified disbelief as she read the official announcement of my victory. I made a decision that surprised everyone, including myself. I didn't fire Vanessa. Revenge would have made me as small as she had been. Instead, I approved her transfer to a lateral position in a smaller, regional office. It was the same salary, but with no team to manage and no path to power. It was a lesson in dignity, not destruction. She was offered a chance to rebuild herself, just as I had. When the transfer papers were placed in front of her, she signed them without a word, her eyes fixed on the table, unable to look at me. Months later, we had a family dinner at our mother's house. The atmosphere was different, lighter. Our mother beamed at me. "Rachel, we are just so incredibly proud of you. CEO. Vanessa tells us you've done wonders for the company." I smiled kindly, catching Vanessa's eye across the table. She looked away quickly. "Thank you, Mom," I said. "I just learned that sometimes, the best way to answer your critics isn't with loud words, but with quiet, consistent results." Vanessa forced a smile that didn't reach her eyes and raised her glass. "To my sister," she said, her voice tight. The overachiever. Sitting in my new office, looking out at the city lights, I finally felt a sense of peace. The journey had been longer and harder than anyone knew. They had labeled me unreliable, a job hopper, a failure. But they were wrong. I wasn't failing, I was searching. I was learning resilience in a way a perfect career path could never teach. Every ended job had led me here, to a position where I could truly make a difference. Never underestimate the quiet ones. We are often the ones listening, learning, and planning our rise, while everyone else is busy counting us out. And our success, when it finally comes, is all the sweeter.